when you put the needs of your future self, you tomorrow, above the needs of your right now, this is how we shift things, right? If anybody has something like let's say an addiction, and you think about, well, how am I going to feel about this tomorrow? When you actually play that out and you live your life according to, I want to feel really good tomorrow rather than I want to feel, a certain way in this moment right now, then that is what really truly changes and shifts our life, when we are not living to please ourselves right now in this moment, but we're living to please our future self. This is what shifts things. But why is it that we are operating out of this pleasing ourselves in the right now in the first place? And why is it that we aren't putting those needs that we have for our future self out there? And it all comes back to the root of whatever the current issue is, all the way back to when a very first seed was planted. So let's say you have a presenting issue in your life right now. Well, what happened was your issue at some point did not exist. It didn't exist. Was it there in the womb? Maybe not. Was it there when you were really like an infant? Maybe not. Maybe it was. Maybe it was present. Maybe it did come from a past life. Often they don't. So your issue began, or it started somewhere. Even if it was a past life, totally cool. When we become aware of why this is rooted here, why this is planted here, then we can actually shift and change it. So let me give you an example here. Let's say that you crave wine, and you just freaking love it, man, and you just can't get yourself to not drink it, even though when you wake up the next day you feel terrible and you're like, oh, I'm not going to drink wine anymore, but you really do just love it and you want it. You like the way it makes you feel, you like the way it tastes, all of the things. Okay, so why are you destroying your future self in the tomorrow for something that you just really like, that feels good in the right now? There will be a reason, there will be a root that is there. And when we follow that feeling that you have, so this would be like your craving. So let's say it's 4:00, you're bored, you're starting to make supper, and you're like, oh, I could just use a little bit of wine. Okay, so you go, you pour yourself a glass of wine. Well, before you decided to do that, before you actually took that, I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine, you had a feeling that was present. So now your feeling was probably more than likely slightly uncomfortable of, oh, I would feel more comfortable, I would feel better right now if I had some wine. So your mind it goes so fast. It has all these little tiny thoughts, these little tiny beliefs and things that come through, and they come through so fast. And it could be tied to a physical thing, it could be tied to an environmental thing, like, hey, from the second that you walk through your front door, all of a sudden you get this feeling and you need to have your wine. The day is done, we program ourselves. So anyways, this feeling is present, but it didn't just happen today, right? The seed, the root, was planted way back then, whenever that way back then was. And what we do is we follow that feeling all the way back to when it was planted, because however it was originally seeded, however it was originally planted, that is what then takes on form, and then that is what actually plays out in your life and continues to play out in your life. So let's say this. So the very first time you come home from work, you're bored, you're feeling however, you decide you're going to have a glass of wine. Okay, so what happened that very first day? There was thoughts, there was beliefs, there was things that happened. You had your first sips of wine, all of a sudden you're feeling like you can unwind, you're feeling more free, you're feeling a certain way, and all that this is feelings, information, knowledge, and you're programming your mind with it. And so then tomorrow when you get home from work, you're like, I feel like having a glass of wine. Why? Because all this information, everything you gathered from the previous time is playing out, and it's saying, oh, but we felt this way, and so then this was the result. You got immediate relief. Remember how you felt so good? And then you continue to do these things again. But here's the thing. Our future self isn't even factored into this, right? Why? Because it wasn't factored into it when we placed it. When the first time happened, when the root was there, we were thinking about how I feel right now, how I want to be feeling. Okay, now I'm feeling that way. How do I feel tomorrow? Well, that didn't even come into the equation until the tomorrow happened, and you felt terrible, and you thought, oh, well, I know how I can make this better. I'm just going to drink some more wine. It's going to take that feeling away. And we're always looking for solutions, right? We're looking for feelings of relief. And so when we find it, then the mind goes, that worked last time, we're going to do that again. And we don't realize that now we've created a habit. We've had a repeated pattern that we're now in. And so when we're resolving issues, if you ever need to resolve an issue, when you go back to the root, what was the energetic implant at the time when you first began to drink? So let me give you some examples here. I've worked with a lot of addictions and smoking and things over the years, but even something as simple as being able to sleep, or feeling depressed or feeling anxiety, everything that I do when I'm working with my clients, we all do the same type of thing, because we are finding out what's the first energetic imprint of this thing, because that is the thing that has now taken on form and is now still present and living within you, and it's continuing to play out, and this is where the repeated patterns come from. So here's an example. Somebody decides that they need to quit smoking, so they come to me. So what am I doing? Well, I'm following the feeling of the craving that they have back, right? Because if you don't have a craving, well, it's really easy to quit smoking because you don't actually want it anymore. Well, then it's like liver, right? If we take away your cravings for potato chips, well, now you don't want the chips anymore. If we take away your cravings for liver, okay, well, now you don't want to eat the liver. We probably didn't have to do a session for that one, but you never know. Anyways, but we're going back to the original imprint. Okay, so let's say we're following smoking back. Well, what will often come up will be not even necessarily the very first time that they smoked, because, well, it might be the first time that they smoked, but it won't be the cigarette that they were enjoying, right? Because it's nasty. There's nothing enjoyable about smoking your first cigarette. It's disgusting. But when we go back to that first time, why? What was the energy that was there? What was the why? Okay, well, maybe you were with a group of people and you didn't want to feel left out. Maybe, this was going on. You were feeling, oh, my parents smoked, and so I want to smoke too. Who knows what the reason behind it was? But when you see the reason behind it, you can then understand, okay, well, I started because of this reason. Not because I like smoking, not because I wanted to smoke, but I started because of this particular reason. And it is just through becoming aware, through knowing the reason, that we can then speak to our younger self and be like, hey, dude, like, I know that you want to smoke right now, but it's actually like super not cool. And in like 30 years, you're still going to be smoking, and you're going to be desperate to be able to quit, and you're going to be really addicted. It's going to be hard for you to breathe. And then you're talking to your younger self, and you're telling them like, hey man, like, this isn't the thing. And you're convincing your younger self to change the original energy imprint that they had, which was probably a lack of self-esteem or wanting to fit in, or who knows? There's so many different things that it could be, but we're changing the original energetic imprint. This is what changes things. Now, if we're wanting to change something else, let's say that we have a craving for wine or something like this. Okay, so we would go back to the original imprint. So you would take the presenting feeling that you have now, like the craving, the reason, ooh, I want this. And we think, oh, these are all just habits. Well, yes, it's a habit, but it didn't start out as a habit, right? The first time you did it, it wasn't a habit then. No, you continued to do it because it was solving a problem for you. It was making you feel a certain way. That's the only reason why we do anything, is because it is making us feel a certain way. And sorry, some messages popping up on my screen. And so what we are trying to do is we are trying to get a feeling, and when we achieve that, then we continue to do it over and over again. And we're not thinking about ourselves tomorrow. We're thinking about ourselves right now. I'm feeling uncomfortable right now, and I know that if I smoke that cigarette or if I drink that wine, it's going to take away this uncomfortable feeling. But here's the thing. This uncomfortable feeling that you have is trauma that needs to be resolved. And so I would take this uncomfortable feeling that you have, which is more than likely tightness and tension, and like, oh, I don't want to feel this way, and just a bit of wine, oh, all of a sudden that feeling goes away. I would take this feeling that you have, and we would follow it back and be like, where did this start? What was happening? What was going on? Oh, somebody was bullying you. Somebody was being mean to you. Oh, this person made you feel stupid in front of somebody else. Ooh, maybe you did something and you felt really bad about it, and it's guilt or it's grief or it's who knows. It's different for every single person. But we take that original feeling, that thing that was there, and we actually heal it. So we're not doing any coping techniques. We're not like, next time you feel like having some wine, take some deep breaths. No, we're not talking ourselves out of anything. We're actually healing the reason why that was happening in the first place. We're going in deep in there. What's the original energetic imprint of this? And we're finding it, we're locating it, and we're healing it, because something there is messed up. Something there's not right. Why? Because if we are doing something that our future self is not going to love, we are not loving ourselves. Why are we not loving ourselves? There must be a reason, because you weren't born not loving yourself. Something must have happened along the way. Although I say that, but yet some people were. Because I've gone back, and sometimes I'll take people back to the womb, and they know that their mom didn't actually want them. And it's not that the mom didn't want them, didn't want you as a person, but the mom was stressed out. Maybe the relationship between mom and dad wasn't good. Maybe there was some reason she didn't think she could provide for you. And so it created all this stress, or it created whatever it was. But because we're just energy, you and me, all of us were just energy, that energy imprint then imprinted on little you, and then you were born feeling this way. And so you've never known a different way of feeling, but you can. As soon as you go back and you witness and you see yourself in the womb and you realize that that's where it's coming from, you're immediately released from it. We don't even need to do work around it. It is just recognizing that and seeing that and healing that little person in there by you healing that little person in there, by you giving them the love that they need, not needing it from mom, not needing it from dad, not needing it from any outside source other than yourself, you healing that little person. And then that is what actually sets you free. And it seems so crazy that we could be addicted to things, or that we could have all of these kinds of issues, and all of them always stem every single time from a lack of love in some area, or, feeling used, feeling this. No matter what the outcome is, it is because love was not present where it should have been. Now, here's the thing about this, is that we all know the truth. Every single one of us knows that the universe is made of love. And this is why when we're little and we experience something that is not that, it affects us so much. Because let's say that somebody's mean to us. Well, we know this isn't right. And this is why it causes all kinds of issues within us, because we're like, this isn't right. And so depending on who you are, maybe it'll make you really angry that you weren't treated right. Maybe it'll make you really sad that you weren't treated right. It totally depends on your personality as to how that lack of love plays out. Maybe you'll then want to get revenge, and you're not going to give love to anybody. You never know what the result is going to be, because we're all so different. But the result is not typically going to be, okay, that person didn't love me, I'm just going to continue to love and give more love. No, that's not usually ever what happens. It's like, I've done something wrong. I'm not a good person. I now believe these things about myself. The world is a dangerous and fearful place, and I'm going to operate out of this. And because something happened, and it's now shifted our perception, and we don't believe we're safe, and we don't believe this, and we've changed all these things, all because of one little scenario, situation, thing, it then plays out in every area of our life. And it's like we've contaminated our entire life because of one little incident that we aren't even consciously able to recall. We have to be in theta. We have to be in a subconscious state to even be able to recall the reason why we feel that way. But you don't need me. You can do these things on yourself. This is why I made that mental cleanse series too. That playlist is on my channel here. That playlist that you can go in, and it will take you into a subconscious state, and it will take you with very specific emotions. You can look at it. There's 40 freaking videos that you can choose. What emotion do I want to overcome today? Anger? Okay, perfect. Watch that one. It's going to take you, it's going to put you in a subconscious state, and it's going to follow it back. You're going to find where the original energetic imprint came from. And then it's going to have you shift it and change it. Because however we originally stamp it, that's what plays out. That is like saying, okay, I'm going to plant a walnut seed, but I'm going to hope that I get a pecan tree, right? That's not the way that it is. And this is how we are. We're all energy. That's all that we are, is energy. And so whatever our energetic imprint was that we first planted, that's then that what comes to fruition. We're the plant. We're the result of the seed that we planted. And so if we want to grow a different plant, meaning we want to have a different life, we want to experience things differently, then we need to put a new energetic imprint where that old one was. We actually have to replace it with what it was that we wanted. So this is what I'll do, when I'm working with people, is we'll go in and we'll clear it. And I say, well, how would you rather feel? What would you have rather had happen in that situation? And then we implant that energy there. And so then when you're done, all of a sudden, where you used to get stressed or upset or angry or be worried or fearful about these certain things, all of a sudden you're like, yeah, it's weird. You're not worried about anything. I don't know. I don't feel that way anymore. That fast, because we've changed the imprint. The only reason it's like that is because that's how it was implanted in the first place. So these things are very simple and easy to change. You just need to be able to have the wherewithal to figure out what needs to change in the first place. And so when we can look at our life and we can see, okay, you know what? If I really want to love myself as good as I possibly can, I'm going to think about tomorrow me. Now, what would tomorrow me want me to be doing here today? And even more importantly, what would tomorrow me not want me to be doing here today? Just equally important. And so if there was something that, tomorrow you is not going to feel so good about, then do it. Do it for tomorrow you, because that's how you love you. And this is how you know if you truly love yourself or not, because you're going to be operating out of her in the future, not her in the right now, because you know that right now, okay, let's say, I want to eat 17 bowls of ice cream, but I'm going to feel terrible. It's not going to be good for me, and I'm going to feel awful tomorrow. But I'm like, yeah, but I really like it, and I just want to keep eating the ice cream, and I'm going to do that. What am I doing? Am I loving myself? I'm not. I'm probably covering up some emotion that I have right now that I don't want to deal with. I'm probably bored and I could be doing something that's way more productive or better in the world. I'm doing all kinds of things to myself just through that act of eating 17 bowls of ice cream that I shouldn't be doing. That future me is going to be like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Look how you feel. What are you doing? And my future me would be like, okay, well, you know what? You probably should have been doing this and this and this at that time rather than what you were doing. Your future you is a freaking genius, man, and knows everything that is going to play out and be really good and wonderful for you. So when you can operate in that way and you can think about what tomorrow you is really going to want, and you can just do whatever it is to make tomorrow you really happy, things are going to shift and they're going to change in your life. You're going to stop operating too out of impulse, out of, oh, I want this right now. I need to feel this way right now. You're going to change and you're going to do things that are actually going to not just be good for you, but are good for the planet. Because if you're not loving yourself properly, how are you going to love the people around you properly? How are you going to have the energy to give to the people around you? You're not. And so when you put yourself at the top of that list and think, okay, well, tomorrow me probably wants me to eat some healthy supper tonight in a proper, amount. And it probably wants me to go for a walk after supper so that I can go and so that I can get some exercise. And it probably wants me to, do a bit of work and put in some time on, whatever it is that I'm working on. And so I'm going to do that. And then when you do that, you were proving to the universe that I love myself. And because you then love yourself, the universe is going to love you right back. And it's going to give you all kinds of wonderful things. And you're like, oh, look it. This is what I give to the ones who love. Because you are then emitting the truth. You are then emitting love from your being. And so you are going to get more love back, rather than when you're like, I'm just going to eat all these things and I'm going to do things that are going to harm me tomorrow. You're not emitting love. And so you're going to get that back. And you don't want that back, because that's what you've been doing, this whole time, that you're like, yeah, that's the reason why I'm doing this in the first place, is because I'm not doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And so then I'm getting all this back. And so then I just keep going on this repeated process where I could be doing the things that are really going to love me. And then the universe is going to give me back that vibration, that frequency, that consciousness level and energy. And that's really going to satisfy me. So that's what I have for you guys here today. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. If I always have private sessions available. I do these worldwide through Zoom. You can find that on my website, which is listed down below. You can always find me under therealhealinginstitute.com. My name is Michelle Sinclair. I am a teacher of the Christ letters. So wonderful to have you guys in here today. Thank you so much. Thanks for likes. Thanks for shares. Thanks for all the things in your comments. You guys are the best. So wonderful to see you. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.